M for discussion, anonymity and confidentiality. What is the real or critical difference between anonymity and confidentiality? The real or critical difference between these two is that in one study, researchers do not know the participant's identity, while in the other, participants of a study are known to the researcher. In Chapter 2 of our required textbook for this course, Mills defines anonymity and confidentiality. Anonymity is when the researcher does not know the identities of the participants in the study. When attempting to maintain anonymity, removing names or coding records is a common method to doing so. Confidentiality is when the researcher knows the identities of participants but promises not to release them to anyone else. According to Mills, if the identities of the participants are known to the researcher, there can be confidentiality but no anonymity. Further, the author explains that the confidentiality typically involves the use of pseudonyms, a fictitious name, to ensure that the participants' identities remain concealed. This is another real or critical difference between anonymity and confidentiality. Apparently, protecting confidentiality can be more problematic than assigning pseudonyms. Intellectual property. Intellectual property refers to the knowledge and creations arising from intellectual activity. Intellectual property includes a wide variety of things such as literary, artistic, and scientific works, performances, sound recordings, broadcasts, inventions, scientific discoveries, and industrial designs, proprietary knowledge, confidential information, and cultural knowledge. When it comes to intellectual property, there are intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights refer to the exclusive rights for a prescribed time and within a prescribed region to control how the intellectual property may be used and what others may do with it. When discussing intellectual property rights, copyright should be taken into consideration. A particular type of intellectual property that exists in original works are recorded in writing or otherwise. What would you do if subjects treated the information they gave you as intellectual property? I would simply further my knowledge on and refer to intellectual property rights to ensure that I abide by them. Research unethical conduct. It is believed that research in school settings is an ethically challenging field. Seeing as there are 5 principles and 22 ethical standards to consider, I would have to agree. In order for researchers to ensure they are maintaining ethics in research, they must be aware of and ensure 2 overriding rules of ethics. 1, participants should not be harmed in any way, physically, mentally, or socially. And 2, researchers obtain participants' consent. Since research studies are built on the trust between researcher and participants, there are ethical considerations involved in any and all research. Therefore, it is crucial for all researchers to be aware of and attend to the ethical considerations related to their studies. What do you regard as your primary defense against unethical conduct in research? When considering defenses against unethical conduct in research, I regard the Code of Ethics, approved by the American Educational Research Association, as primary defense. Mills informs readers that the Code of Ethics of ERA outlines a set of values on which educational research should build their research practices. The Code's 5 principles are intended to serve as a guide for educational researchers in determining ethical behavior in a variety of contexts, while the 22 standards are intended to serve as rules for ethical conduct. I will not list all of these here, but if you are interested, you can find them in Chapter 2 of our required textbook. If researchers base their research practices on set values and rules, they will be able to ensure they are upholding the ethical standards, therefore defending themselves against unethical conduct in research.